Hey, Berm Cannon here, aka Baja Diaries for DirtBikeTest.com, and I have here the Honda CRF250L Rally in complete stock form. The only thing we changed was the tires. These are the STI Tech 2 Pro D model. We did start with a 120 in the rear. We found right off the bat that was way too much for this little pony, and we put the 110 on the back, and it was a lot better, and we were actually very happy with it. So sit back and relax, and here is our thoughts and review on this beautiful bike, who could be for beginner adventure riders, or if you want to get into dual sporting. For the price, this is a great bike. The Honda CRF250L Rally is Honda's entry-level offering into the today's popular adventure bike / dual sport market. With the CRF250L as its standard model, the Rally is the L's good-looking big brother, with most notably the tall windscreen, extra coverage fairings, and side panels. Oh, and a slightly larger fuel tank. Don't let the number 250 ruin it for you. This bike is very capable of not only performing, but also taking you places you've never been before, and that's what I like. I spent the last month wandering around the eastern Sierras and through the Mojave Desert, and even doing some home honeydews when the kids have no more Captain Crunch in the cupboard. Let's first talk about the power. The Honda CRF 250 Rally is a 4-valve, 249.6 liquid-cooled single-cylinder 4-stroke fuel-injected motor that will keep you humming along on the highways, doing 65, and enough boost to get you up those steep single tracks. Though I will be honest, the power in the CRF 250L Rally is not a rock thrower, but in technical situations, it will get you where you need to go with some finesse and patience. After about a day of riding it, I started to change my mental approach on what's available in the bike, power-wise. After that, the bike became even more fun and enjoyable. The bottom end of the power is very friendly and would not be scary for the first-time rider or those who are less experienced with twisting more horses. However, when I got into sticky situations where I needed the motor to come alive, stabbing the clutch and revving it up a bit, that bottom power showed up to do its job. Bottom to mid power is where most of the power characteristics is at on the CRF 250 Rally. On the highway, it's more about tucking and ducking to get the bike over 70 miles per hour with no headwind. The CRF 250 Rally is also equipped with an engine counterbalancer, which is very noticeable right out of the gate, and especially on highways where there's little vibration. Many people look over this simple ingredient when looking at bikes. I felt that I could keep riding this thing nonstop and stay in the saddle because at the end of the day, I felt less fatigued, and I think it's engine smoothness that had a lot to do with it. In the sand, like all bikes, is where it bogged a bit, mainly because of the weight of the bike, not because of the power available. But in those situations, I would just grab more clutch and get the revs up, and it would bark itself right out of that situation. It did seem weird at first when I hit the sand for the first time, mainly because the bike was quiet and smooth in every other situation. So when I did hit the sand, I would just get the bike revving up and get it angry, and everything was just fine. The 250 Rally also comes with a slightly larger tank at 2.7 gallons compared to the stock model of 2.1 gallons. Depending on where you're riding and what your riding characteristics are, you can get up to 190 miles per tank. There was one day where I was actually tooling around with Fire Freddy, and it seemed like I didn't use any fuel at all. However, if you're a pin it to win it all over the place type rider, then you may get 120 to 150 miles per tank. Let's talk about nighttime. The Rally has a low and high beam LED. Though I couldn't find any specifications on exactly what lights they're using, it didn't really matter because they hit it out of the park. I can't applaud Honda enough on their steps with this model, but also with their 450L, giving plenty of light power for those of us who can't seem to get back before the sun goes down. It was so good that I looked forward to riding at night, where I was able to see everything and everybody and everything else was able to see me, especially on the highways. Let's talk about suspension. The CRF250L Rally features an inverted 43mm Showa fork with 11 inches of travel. In the back, the shock having 10.3 inches of travel. By the way, the African Twin only has 9.1 in the front and 8.7 in the back. This is a personal pet peeve of mine, especially in the adventure bike category, where the amount of travel seems to be going away every single time a new adventure bike comes out. Ground clearance is about 10.6 inches, which is good in my book. Any less, you'll be scraping. The base 250L model has 9.8 up front and 9.4 in the back. The stock suspension is a bit soft, where on some dips and whoops I would hit the bottom, but there is definitely room for revalving to make that go away. Beginner and novice riders will probably not notice it as much as faster and riders who weigh north of 200 pounds will. Besides being a bit soft overall, the suspension is nice and plush, and as long as I knew where not to stick the front wheel, it handled everything you would expect on an adventure ride. A little on the handling and chassis. The CRF250 Rally weighs about 350 pounds. Though that is not impossible to pick up on the trail, if you fall over, you do have to be mindful on how you park it, on a hill, on a trail, or if you're loading it into a truck. Everything about the cockpit and the way the bike handled on and off-road was just classic Honda. Again, I want to emphasize, I feel that I could ride this bike longer than other bikes all in one day. If you're thinking about getting into the adventure bike or dual sport category, with little riding experience, I think this bike is for you. With its ease of operation, including an electric start button, no kicking regimen is needed as if, say, if you were going to buy a cheap used old bike on Craigslist, just push the button and go. With the other bells and whistles that Honda equips the CRF 250 Rally, like the LED headlights, special cargo hooks to secure a light load to the passenger seat, or even stuffing an extra pair of gloves in the small storage box on the left side. And for you math geeks, the digital instrument display that's tucked in behind the windscreen offers a speedometer, clock twin trip meter, fuel gauge, all for you to do your calculations as you ride through the scenic landscape. For the price, you can't beat what Honda is offering in this package price-wise. If you're a seasoned vet, this bike would fit perfect in your stall when you need a good around-town scooter that can also be thrown on the back of the motorhome for those summer fishing trips, or to do store trips, and even make up for missing one of your child's Saturday baseball games and taking him to school on the back of the thing, showing him what true parental love is. For me, I really enjoyed the bike, especially the price. Most bikes are now approaching or going over $10K. And it's nice that a manufacturer is thinking about people with lower budgets, and especially people who may want to get into riding for the first time. The first 2 episodes of the Baja Diaries, I rode an old XR400 from Craigslist. That cost me $1,000. And those were amazing times on a classic, or should I say now, a vintage motorcycle. But for all you that rode or owned an XR400 and loved it, the spirit of that bike is now in this CRF 250L Rally, just modernized, in the best way. Would I take this bike to Baja? Absolutely. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. If you want to see more of the CRF 250L Rally in action, check out the description box below. I'll leave a couple links in there. And then always go to dirtbiketest.com, where we put all our tests and reviews where you can access them at any time. We'll see you guys in the next one.